Howdy gamers, let's talk about the runes for Caitlyn ADC. Coming into Season 10, she's kind of the go-to pick if you're just trying to infinitely push into the enemy lane, and then take their tower, swap top, take their tower, swap mid, take their tower, have full control, take dragon, etc. So she's kind of like a offensive, offensively neutral control champion, kind of, I don't know. Anyways, starting off with the Keystone is going to be Fleet of Footwork. Attacking and moving builds up energy stacks. At 100 stacks, your next attack is energized. Energized attacks heal you for 3 to 60, which is based on your level, and then plus 0.3 bonus AD, and then grant you 20% movement speed for 1 second. Healing from minions is 20% effective for ranged champions, so whenever you actually have it built up, you obviously gain more value whenever you're hitting the enemy champions versus not. And since Caitlyn has one of the highest range in the game, if not the highest, I'm not sure what Ophelia is now, but anyways, um, since she has one of the highest ranges in the game, you're basically guaranteed to have an auto attack on the enemy champion, and then therefore get more effectiveness out of the extra healing. The general usefulness of Fleet of Footwork is that it's a offensive and then a defensive tool for Caitlyn. Early game, in the laning phase, it's primarily used to gain distance on the enemy and then offset a bit of the damage that they're dealing to you, since, or that you're basically dealing to yourself by hitting them and then taking minion aggro. So you can hit a minion and then gain the movement speed to get an auto attack on the enemy champion or position for a Q, etc. Or if you have all the autos built up and then your next one is going to be a headshot, then you can auto the enemy champion, gain the bonus movement speed, and then guarantee your headshot, and then as they're running away, you can land a Q from there. So the extra movement speed is generally just used offensively in the early game. Come mid game, it becomes a more neutral and defensive tool, as it's not so much about the healing as it is the movement speed. The healing is nice, especially if you're playing into unfair ranged support champions like Misfortune, Xerath, Zyra, etc., where they can kind of just get free damage without much retaliation or without much answer, and then the extra healing is going to offset the damage that they're dealing. Or whenever the enemy engages on you, the extra healing is going to offset the damage that they initially dealt to you. But come mid game, it's whenever you have this built up and then you're positioning um, around objectives or just in team fights in general, the first target you hit is always going to give you more movement speed, and then that lets you decide to move further back, or if you're trying to take the fight, then you can move side to side, therefore it enables you to dodge more skill shots easier. And then if you're winning completely, then it goes back to the first mode of it, which is just moving forward and getting more damage off. So pretty, it's kind of like a luxury rune, but with the way Caitlyn functions, it's completely fine. And then the extra healing is, again, just a better laning tool. Second rune is going to be Overheal. Um, excess healing on you becomes a shield for up to 10 plus 10% of your max health, and then a shield is built up from 20 to 100% of your excess healing from yourself or an ally. So Overheal in combination with Fleet of Footwork and then Doran's Blade, and then what the next rune is going to be, Bloodline. All the lifesteal and all the healing that you get just from your own kit, not along with any enchanter support, is going to give you a bonus shield. The utility of the bonus shield offered is that it's always there. Whenever you approach the enemy, um, any damage that they initially deal to you has to go through the shield before it even damages you. So before it damages your actual health pool, they have to get through that shield. It just becomes an unfair trading tool. It becomes just more effective HP during team fights, and then in a sieging situation as well, you're going to be negating poke, you're going to be negating all-ins. It's just an all-encompassing rune in that sense, where it's good offensively and defensively. Pretty similar to Fleet of Footwork. The third rune is going to be Bloodline. Caitlyn doesn't need the extra attack speed from Alacrity. She has wave control with her Q, and then has good enough itemization into attack speed anyways. And then Bloodline is just a more gold efficient rune. You gain 0.6% lifesteal, and for every legend stack, 0.6% lifesteal for every legend stack, up to 20 stacks. That's a lot of lifesteal, man. And then you basically get a legend stack for doing almost anything in the game. A champion takedown, which is a kill or assist. An epic monster takedown, which is a kill onto Rift Herald, Dragon, Baron, etc. Large monster kill, which is jungle camps and minion kills. So you're basically guaranteed to stack up legend bloodline pretty quickly in the game. And then that's going to give you so much lifesteal. And then in combination with the crit items that you're going to be building early, The crit's going to give you more health back because you're just dealing more damage, and then lifesteal's based on the damage that you've dealt. And with the lifesteal, if you're trading with enemy champions neutrally, so let's say a champion like Zaya is trading auto attacks with you, you trade blow for blow, but then you get HP restored on every hit, and then where you have the higher range, if you just back up a little bit and then deal damage to them, then they can't deal damage to you, then you're just healing off them. If if you got engaged on or just took damage prior, it helps you sustain from minions, and then it also helps you sustain just by hitting the front line of the enemy champions. So very, very useful rune and kind of overpowered in my opinion, especially with how effective the crit items are lately. Fourth rune, you have the option of coup de grace or cut down. Coup de grace being probably more satisfying in most matches, and yeah, you deal 8% more damage to champions who are below 40% health. So if you catch them out with a trap and then land a full combo of like auto E, auto Q, auto, then you're gonna probably just like kill the person outright. If the enemy's getting away with a sliver of health and you're finishing them off with an ult, helps in that situation. Um, if um, in an all-in, if you have coup de grace just over the enemy, then when you're trading absolutely everything, so your summoner spells, both AD carries using heal, both supports using ignite or exhaust, once the enemy is at 40% health and you just have the 8% more damage to them, then you're just going to be dealing more damage to them. With AD carry too, you're always the source of damage. With mages and tanks, they're always on cooldown during team fights, like after they've initially spent everything. But with AD carry, um, you always have damage uptime as your cooldown is basically your attack speed, which is effectively always up compared to like an 8-second, 10-second cooldown of an ability. So in that sense, whenever a team fight starts and like all abilities are spent, you're going to be dealing more damage to effectively the entire enemy team because of that. With cut down, you deal 5% to 15% more damage to champions with more maximum HP than you. And then the bonus scales up linearly against enemies with 10% to 100% more it's basically just you're dealing more damage to tanks is what cut down is. And where Caitlyn doesn't build any HP items, you're always going to be getting effectiveness out of this. But you want to be running this into particular matchups. So if you're against like Ornn mid lane or top lane, Zac jungle, basically Scion top slash mid, and then if it's kind of icing on the cake if the enemy picks a tank support at that point too. So you just have to keep an eye out for it and adjust this last rune depending on if you're playing against tanks or not. And then you have to also judge like if it's your job to deal more damage to those tanks as well. But defaultly it's going to be coup de grace. That never changes. Secondary runes is going to be Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm. Prior it was like free boots and then biscuits, but with the way that the crit items work and then the benefit that you get from this bonus AD on Caitlyn is so high. You have an AD ratio on her Q, W, and then her ult, and then obviously having more AD is going to make your auto attacks deal more damage as well. With Absolute Focus, while you're above 70% HP, you're going to gain bonus adaptive force. This is going to kind of cap out around level 9 or 10 since the bonus AD offered is based on your level, but that's completely fine. And then where you have to be above 70% health, you have so many tools to stay above 70% health, and then since you're the longest range in the game as well, you're almost guaranteed to always have uptime on this rune. With Gathering Storm, every 10 minutes you gain bonus AD, so at 10 minutes 5 AD, at 20 minutes 14, and most games you're going to be sitting on that 14. And then once it gets past 30 or 40 minutes, you really start getting insane values out of Gathering Storm versus not. So this, in combination again with the crit items, is just going to give you so much more damage than you otherwise would have. They outweigh the free boots and then the biscuits completely, as the free boots is like a 300 gold value, and then the biscuits is kind of arguable depending on the region that they give you, and then the mana offered also like just isn't needed on Caitlyn. You're completely fine with her base amount of mana. And then with adaptive runes, it's going to be attack speed, adaptive force, and then armor. The most standard thing you can get for a ADC, the attack speed, because just having more. The thing is with these adaptive runes that you have to think about with the champions that you're running them on is that these are the stats offered like at the start of the game, and then they last throughout the entire game. everything, all the bonuses offered from all these runes vary in value depending on like your level and then like the state of the game. With the adaptive runes, you get them from level 1 until the end of the game. So their value better be like at their highest from levels 1 to 4 most of the time. And with Caitlyn, 10% attack speed is just generally useful. You're going to be able to get more attacks off on the minion wave and then on enemy champions. And then with the adaptive force is going to give more value to the attack speed as you're just going to be dealing more damage. And then the adaptive force is also going to be working on your abilities from the start. So just gives you more damage. And then like obviously, but with the secondary rune, or with the third rune being 6 armor, since you're in the bot lane, you can take physical damage from minions and then 2 champions, since 2 champions can deal um, auto attack damage, which is always physical. And then the enemy AD is always probably going to be dealing some sort of form of physical damage. So having this resistance from the start is going to be the most effective, as you're just going to effectively have more HP because you're going to be blocking more of that type of damage. Obviously, if you're playing into a mage matchup bot lane like Syndra, Vigar, etc., you could swap to Magic Resist, but with most matchups, it's going to be armor. So these are the runes I'd recommend for Caitlyn AD carry. If you have any questions about them, leave them in the comments. I answer literally all of them. And if this video helped you, leaving a like on the video helps me. And, oh yeah, twitch.tv/SorryNelson, links in the description. I play support, I don't play Caitlyn. Yeah, good luck in Season 10, man. Caitlyn's, she's pretty strong. She's not crazy, but she's pretty strong.